What is going on, everyone? My name is BoIt and I'm back with some more Age of Mythology Extended Edition action. Spawning in the left hand corner of the map in the blue color playing Zeus is the Swedish chef, and his opponent today in the red color playing as Set is Setmachine, also known as MMC Shiny or Shini. I'm going to call him Shiny because I think that's cooler. But if you don't know who Shiny is, he's a really old Age of Mythology Nilla expert. So he used to play back in like 2003, 2004, and he used to be one of those top players who was like always top 5 back in the day. So he's actually come back to the extended edition for a couple of games. He's playing his most favorite race of Set. He's stuck by Set since whenever I met him, he was playing Set, and he's still playing Set. So like I saw him playing around 2005, 2006 when I started playing the game, and man, this guy is such a good Set player. And you can see his first motive was to find this hunt. He does have a Auroch there and there. Maybe it was out of his line of sight. However, that being said, he's managed to come over here, and he's going to grab these caribou anyways, and he's probably going to scout these out at some later date. He is playing against Zeus, so gathering those at a later date is actually pretty good, because their back location can defend them really nicely, whereas this location is very difficult to defend. You can see he's chopping up his houses as well. If we jump over to the Swedish chef's perspective, Swedish chef, I believe he came second. I think it was second in my 1,000 subscriber tournament, the special that I ran. And yeah, he did really well. He surprised me because there was some pretty tough competition in that tournament. It was for a small amount of money that I just chopped up for the sake of it, and it was a one-day tournament, I believe. So yeah, that's some pretty cool stuff. He's still around. He's still playing really solidly, and we can see that he's doing this 2 villages on wood shenanigans and 2 villages on gold. This is something that I believe Mr. innovated as a counter strategy against Set when he was trying to deal with what Mythic was trying to pull on him. But we do see this villager walking right into that polar bear. Not a really good idea there. He's probably going to get the face smack a couple of times. He's going to have to run that away. Probably finish off that Auroch, move over to the polar bear, and then kill them. Unless he's dragging them. That would be so next level if you could actually... I don't think you could. But yeah, that would have been super sick if he did do that. He actually dragged the polar bear back to that granary. But there is a radius in which they can run to, and then they have to run back to their starting location. It's not like Age of Empires 2, whereby you can actually drag, hunt all across the map. You just have to be obnoxious with it, and it will do it. But yeah. Anyways, people always underestimate the amount of food that an aggressive animal has. Polar bear have 200 food, which is like the same as an Auroch. Both of these is the same as an Auroch, so it's like really useful. So never ever ignore aggressive hunt. You can always micro to kill them. You should never lose any villages to an aggressive hunt ever. It's not really acceptable unless you're lagging like hell and you just can't do it. But yeah. You just send a bunch of villagers over, kill off the hyena or polar bear or bear or what else is there, lion. It's all generally worth it depending on the other decisions you've got to make. This oracle's over here. It's a really long way to walk. Come over here and kill these. They actually die quicker than Auroch as well, so it's also a bonus. I mean, you could argue Auroch aren't really aggressive hunt because they don't target your villagers. You have to target them first, but still. Yeah, we do see the temple going up for Swedish chef. It's a pretty early temple. It's actually probably going to be advancing in a relatively short amount of time. However, he's going to have to move over to this granary here and start that going up now, that food patch. Otherwise, he's not going to have the resources to hit the classical age. You see he's only on the 196. We see Shiny, on the other hand, has got his monument going up. He's going to be chucking up a temple as well. He's not doing any aggressive shenanigans here. You can tell that because he's got 4 villages on gold, 3 villages on wood, so he's actually going for a more boomy approach. He might be going through Qatar, grabbing Shadoof and doing some sort of 2 town center shenanigans, or even racing straight to the heroic age. Both are really good options for him. Having the 3 villagers on wood suggests to me that he's probably going for some more Shadoof orientated fast farm. Maybe chuck up two towns. Oh, he's actually grabbing a second monument. I'm going to have to change that completely. I've seen him do this strategy a long time ago where he would chuck up 3 monuments in the classical, in the archaic age, and go through Anubis and get the mana increase, the favor increase gather rate improvement. It's in the temple for Anubis, and what it does basically, it gives you a more favor than you can know what to do with, and then you jump straight to the heroic age and you make chariot archers and scorpion men. So you have to have a lot of wood income, a lot of gold income as well, but mostly the wood income, and that allows you to just boom really heavily because your army is consistent of like some of the most meaty units in scorpion mans for what they're worth. Like 150 wood is nothing for what they do. And then the chariot archers just tear up pretty much everything, and you can just like boom off the back of it and continue to build villages, whereas your opponent has to spend a lot of food into their cavalry to deal with stuff. And we do see Swedish Chef now bringing his Jason in. He is going. Has he hit the classical age? Did I miss that? No, he hasn't even advanced yet, so he's a little bit late there. He's got his Jason moving up. He's trying to push off this hunt. The hunt's pretty much gone though, so it's not the worst thing for Shiny here. So Shiny's going to just retreat back into his base. Try and avoid this location here if he can. He's chucking off his temple as well, so he's got to be able to get to that next age. We do see that Shiny's actually struggling a little bit for the food, so he's going to have to deal with this Jason somehow. He can actually use all of those villagers to surround the Jason and kill him. I don't believe that Jason would be able to survive that, and that labor is going to actually die if Shiny's not careful. But the temple going up now, going to be able to put that relic in there. The relic is the, what's it called? Gold increased relics, Nibblegong or whatever it is. So you get extra gold from that. We do see that the polar bear now coming in, trying to pick off that Jason. The Pharaoh taking a lot of pain, however. Going to have to get him out of there if he wants to keep that alive. Looks like he's going to do so. The priest has got to be somewhere as well, so he can re-heal that. It's actually chucking an obelisk up over here. So this pain is really sort of like not the worst thing, but also it's really bad, and he's going to lose his Pharaoh for this as well. So the Jason definitely paying for himself at the moment. Priest coming out now, the polar bear getting picked off, and Shiny going to be hitting the classical age at a really late moment in this game, whereas Swedish Chef already well on his way to the classical age, probably going to hit the classical age before Shiny even, oh, not quite. So Shiny grabbing that Anubis tech that he loves so much. Really interested to see what he does with this, because it's in such a non-meta. I don't want to call it non-meta, but it really is. It's like a non-meta pick. You don't generally see Anubis in this matchup ever. So we'll see if he uses the Anubites effectively, or if he's going for the favor upgrade into he really needed to garrison that there. He probably could have done that. He's losing a lot of these priests for not very much here. It's getting, I think he's picked off 2 priests or something like that, and that's 200 gold there, or at least 1 priest and a pharaoh. So that's pretty good for him right there, making Shiny really feel the pain. We do see a centaur sitting here next to his temple. Is he going to be building another one? If we hop back over to Swedish Chef's perspective, he doesn't have another centaur on the way, but he does have 2 stables up already. A really good mark of a good player is his ability to get these stables up, as well as some centaur production. You see TSM player doing it. You can see Swedish Chef could definitely do that. He has the resources to do so, but he has not, as of this moment, started queuing them up. He could also grab that upgrade for the centaur to make them a little bit quicker. And then here we go. We see Shiny hitting classical age. He's grabbing the second town center really early, so a little bit peculiar. So he is doing this Anubite style that is kind of unpopular, because in a lot of ways it's not very good. But it can be very good depending on like how effective your raids are. The fact is, it's not like a Centaur raid, which is you run in, you kill off a couple of villages, and that's a success. Because Anubites aren't the strongest unit in an army, because your opponent has Odysseus and Jason, and they pretty much like two-hit the Anubites. We do see that Jason coming in here trying to pick off this wall again. A couple of idle villages need to get sorted out for Shiny. And a second town center going up for Swedish Chef. So the booming has begun. If we do select the villager, we do see that a bunch of those could actually click on this button. Look at me use the technology in this game. We do see hand axe, pickaxe, husbandry, and hunting dogs has been researched, and only shaft mine has been researched for Shiny. So even though he's got the 3 villagers on wood, he doesn't really need that extra income just yet, so he's opted to not grab that. Instead, he's putting all of his food into villages. He's still got this Auroch over here, which is a nice position for these villagers to start gathering that if he so chooses. He probably will, because that seems like the smartest idea for him there. We see that Hippocon now picking off the obelisk of Shiny. So Shiny going to lose a little bit of vision there. He does have his hyena on this location though, so you can see if any units decide to run through there. You can see if the town center gets grabbed, but he is missing out on this town center. So Swedish Chef going to be getting his second town center up around the same time as Shiny, and Shiny going to be picking off this Auroch as I said before. Remember, look at that, he does have husbandry, and so does Swedish Chef. So if you're ever thinking about why to get husbandry, and I ran on this a fair bit because I see a lot of players neglecting it, especially Norse players for some reason, and they seem to complain the most. So if you get husbandry, what happens is your villagers walk half the time. Like, instead of this villager having to walk to and from to get that 30 food, that's like an extra gather time of around 5-6 food, which is pretty huge when you really think about it. You see it, I've got 3 Anubites for the army of Swedish Chef, but Swedish Chef does have his Odysseus and his Jason out here, and if these Anubites jump into here, they can get focus fired and they can die really quickly. But you can see a lot of damage just got dealt, and you can see that Anubite taking a ton of pain there. Shiny gonna have to retreat out of here as fast as possible. Does not want to really fight this. He does have this watchtower over here in order to deal some damage, but he can just re-heal these guys. So as long as he doesn't lose any of these Anubites, it's not really a bad thing. We do see some focus fire from those priests onto the center, almost picking that guy off, and we do see the Anubite's not getting focused very hard by the Odysseus just there. It looks like he is actually. So one of those Anubites getting picked up really quickly there. Jason picking off another one. Swedish Chef getting a lot of pain over here. We do see some spearmen now coming up for Shiny, and Swedish Chef not really given 2 cares about this watchtower, dealing a bunch of damage onto the... What's he attacking there? He's attacking a moving Hippocon, which isn't really the best idea, because what happens there is he actually misses the Hippocon, and what you really want to do is focus fire stationary things. Perhaps the Centaur probably could have picked that off. It does have 35% pierce, but it's going to die right there. That's really good pick off for Setmachine. That's Shiny. But again, like, look at all this damage he's doing. Even though he's losing units, his trade has been immense. If we jump over to the losses tab right now, Shiny at 500 food, 540 gold, whereas that's around 1,000 resources, whereas Swedish Chef at more at 800. He's actually caught up now, so he's probably overstayed his welcome. This is what happens a lot of the time when you get into the situation of like really doing a good job of trading and not really getting out at the right point. You can see another unit lost there for not a really good trade. Going to be able to pick off this watchtower probably, but it's not going to amount to. Actually, it might amount to a lot there. So we'll see what happens there. The mining camp going up again. Only at 75 gold left. He's going to have to move over to this location and try and grab that back. If we jump back over to the resources tab, we can see that Shiny does have around 300 gold left to play with, so he might be able to defend here. Maybe even have to use this Plague of Serpents god power in order to secure this gold mine. Chuck up another watchtower. And defend that, because if he doesn't have that gold mine, he pretty much loses this game. So we'll see what he decides to do. His slingers and spearmen is still on auto queue, so he's not really thinking about chucking up that watchtower just yet. I think around about now, if I was Swedish Chef, I'd be thinking about grabbing that third town center. you've just put a lot of pain onto your opponent. Your opponent has to build a bunch of units just to stop himself from dying, whereas you've already got an army here. And that means you can not lay off, really assert your presence, but not exactly fight a head-on fight, and then grab that third town center, which is going to pretty much secure you the game economically, not necessarily militarily, but that should come later from the economic side of things. Maybe even grabbing this forward town center as well would be a really smart option. He does have that scouted out, so we'll see if he decides to make an aggressive play on that. He also has the ceasefire, which he would probably prefer to use on ancestors. However, using it to secure this town center means that for Shiny to resecure it, he'd have to use ancestors and make a push on it, which would be a fair trade. Sort of a fair trade. You're trading your god power for their god power plus 300 wood, 300 gold, and whatever units your town center picks off. So technically it could be worthwhile, but probably not. In any case, I think this third town center needs to be secured for Swedish Chef, perhaps an armory, and then thinking about the Mythic Age. Really, once you get 3 town centers as Zeus, sticking around in the Heroic Age isn't really the best decision, because your Mythic Age is so strong, and the fact you've been able to full pulp off villages and military in the Classical Age means once you jump to the Heroic Age, the only thing you can do really is grab fortified town centers, which gives you an extra 15 population in total if you have 3 town centers, and then that means that you can build like probably 7 more units, maybe 6, 6 more units, maybe 7, whatever, and it's gonna be a bit of a downfall really. But if you jump straight to the Mythic Age, then you get access to Myrmidon, Colossi, Bellerophon, and skipping that wasted time in Heroic Age means you can also get the much needed armory upgrade from Hephaestus, and that's going to allow you to really beef up your units and really abuse that 145 population you've got there. This is why most Greek players tend to like to skip the Heroic Age, because it's kind of just so much better to go to the Mythic Age really quickly. We do see an armory now going up for Swedish Chef, so he's thinking about the Heroic Age instead of jumping straight to the Mythic Age. If he were to grab this town center, I'd say that he would be fine with that, but he's probably going to grab Apollo in all honesty, which is going to allow him to secure this town center really, really nicely. And then just take a 4 town center to 2 town center lead and attempt to win the game through what's it called? I'm not sure what the word is, but just having more population. So yeah, there's some sort of technical word, but we do see that Shiny's baiting in these Hippocon to come around here. That would have been so good if he was on top of it. If he baited in the cavalry, he can actually fight now, and he's probably a little bit ahead, especially with the Plague of Serpents. And look, he's going to try and do this now. It looks like I can't tell if there's actually any line of sight here. But again, if Shiny were to do that again, bait Swedish Chef's army into this little alcove here, then he would be able to fight that really, really efficiently. We do see the Nephiles getting researched for Shiny, and I'd like to jump back over to Swedish Chef, who is still in the Classical Age. He's got the resources almost. Can probably ring his town bell, cancel that production of villages, and then advance to the Heroic Age. But we'll see what he does choose to do there. We see that Swedish Chef making a huge move in here. This isn't actually good for him. We do need to see the Plague of Serpents going down. It does manage to go down. The medium slingers coming in now, going to pick off all of those Toxotos. The Toxotos have dealt a lot of damage, however. They're going to attempt to keep on throwing them off, but Swedish Chef retreating them back into the back lines of his army and forcing Shiny to sort of follow them instead of really doing any damage. But it looks like Swedish Chef's army going to be falling to the sheer size of Shiny, as you do you should note that Swedish Chef's army is not as big because his population would be under suffering. We do see that Shiny now hitting the Heroic Age through Nephthys, so a really huge win there for Shiny. If we jump over to the Units Lost tab, and there we go, we see that he's now caught up on that. We can see that it's actually heavily in Shiny's favor. Swedish Chef now down 1,700 resources probably, and that's actually pretty huge if in the scheme of things. So Shiny probably going to need to think about grabbing this third town center, seeing as Swedish Chef's got his third town center. You see that the Heine Reset did scout that out a little bit too late, but nonetheless, Shiny grabbing his forward gold mine, probably going to chuck a Migdal onto that gold mine, and then transition his army into a more spearman chariot archer sort of thing. It's going to allow him to really abuse the army of Swedish Chef until he manages to get some more out of it. You see these priests walking in here a little bit precariously, and it looks like Shiny making an aggressive move onto this gold mine. He does have ancestors, but what he's trying to do is force a ceasefire at the moment so that he can safely use his ancestors. And probably going to see that, in all honesty. I don't see Swedish Chef really dealing with this too well. If we jump back over to Shiny's perspective, he's actually got a lot of resources in the bank. He might even be thinking about going to the Mythic Age. You see his town center going up as well. And this fight, not really much of a fight considering units are just coming out of the archer range stables and barracks. Military academy. However, the slingers aren't really all that good at defeating Hoplite and Hippocon. They're only really good at killing off the Toxotos. And when I say good, I mean really good at killing off the Toxotos. So we should see some of those chariot archers coming out now. They're really good at picking off infantry and archers, and the spearmen just to protect them from the cavalry. And we do see that they're now auto producing here. Maybe even chuck up a siege workshop would be really good. What do we see? We see Swedish Chef still in the classical age, needs to keep producing units, has to hit that 145 population. If he can hit that 145 population and stay there without dying, then he can grab his Mythic Age technology, because he'll be able to get the resources to do so and attempt to turn the game around. We do see a couple of these axemen coming out now for Shiny here. They're really good at picking off the Hoplite, but if he's going to focus fire them onto the Hippocon here, it's not really the best decision there, especially because they've got no upgrades at all. I think that might have just been a little bit of a misclick there on his behalf. We do see again chariot archers, and this is a heavy wood-based army. Chariot archers and slingers and spearmen, a really good army in terms of not having to build food so that you can really produce villages at a extraordinary rate, because look, he's got 250 food, he's got all town centers auto queuing villages, except for that one, don't know why, but if he had that auto queuing, then his villager account would be huge. Swedish Chef on the other hand, at 80 villages already, he's actually at a really strong spot economically, and he's just going to be throwing units into this front over and over again until he can pressure his way through it, or at least hit the heroic age and maybe get some triple eye spam onto this. Perhaps that would be a better idea than the heroic age jump that I was talking about earlier. To see another Migdal stronghold going up to defend this mining camp, and we're probably going to need to see a market up in this top corner here for Shiny. He's only got the 2 large gold mines, and it takes around 5 minutes for a trade route to start going, and if he's got so many villages on the gold as he does, he's got 25 at the moment, it's going to be a bit of an issue. We see the same sort of issue going to be amounting to with Swedish Chef as well. He's actually almost out of his home gold mine, well, he's out of gold mine. Where are we? And if we check his gold mine over here, you can see that it's actually 2,500, so needs to think about that trade route at some point soon. It's actually really good. We see Apollo being the god of worship here for Swedish Chef, so he might be attempting to do some sort of like push here if he gets like all of his units over here, but not too sure. We see that Swedish Chef been a little bit curious there with those Hippocon. Maybe going to attempt to take down that Migdal stronghold really slowly. Jump back over to Shiny's perspective. He's chucking down some reactionary barracks there in order to deal with those units, and he's taken note that there's a couple of units up here, and if he doesn't have to defend against them, he can take a really strong push into Swedish Chef's base here. And you've got this siege tower coming out now, going to attempt to take down the archery range, and this aggression is exactly what you need to do but really Shiny needs to get some more spearmen out. Just building those Migdol stronghold units is good, but it's not optimal because they're not very strong at picking off these chariot archers, and the Toxotos are just so efficient at killing off the spearmen that if you don't build enough of them, you're going to be in a rough spot. We see that the Apollo has been researched there for Swedish Chef. The barracks now coming up here. A couple of chariot archers now produced here, and the Migdol stronghold going to be dealing a bunch of damage to those units. And this fight still happening over here. Going to pick off that archery range there for 2 siege towers. Kind of worth, but not really. You want to take out more than just that. But it's not really a big issue at the moment because we're gearing up into the later heroic age, sort of early mythic age period here, where losing units isn't the worst thing in the world. Mostly picking off buildings is what you want to be aiming for. We see that Shiny has managed to defend this. He's shoving up some more barracks. Again, I would like to see that market coming down. The earlier you start your trade, the better off you are, especially if you're sitting at such high food count, unless you want that food to specifically be devoted to going to the next age, in which case you want to do that and then get your trade route started. But it looks to me as if he's really spamming the units at the moment, so if he does that, then he needs to get that backup plan with the market coming out. Does he have the he does have the what's it called? I want to select a spearman. Oh no. It's basically like an upgrade for the spearman that's only through Anubis. It's actually really strong. It's basically like copper weapons, except just for spearmen, but costs a little bit extra. So it's really strong in that regard, but also it's not very strong in that regard because it costs so much. But it doesn't cost any gold, so that's always good. We do see a Scorpion Head coming in here. He's a little bit late to the party, but he's gonna be dealing the damage that he really wants to be dealing. Siege Towers coming out still. War Elephant now. So we see the transition into the War Elephant Chariot Archer sort of army here. But again, that's good and all, but you really want to think about getting more Spearmen out, because this heavy Hippocon is just going to be such brutal units here. Pacifist, however, going to deal with those spearmen really easily, so you're going to need to micro the chariot archers really well to pick off the spearmen, get the elephant in range of the peltas to make them focus fire, and get the spearmen to pick off those pesky heavy Hippocon. We see a little bit of a skirmish going on at the top of the map now. Shiny kind of trying to push in here, kind of deal with these Hippocon, kind of trying to pick off the Toxote and all that other good stuff. You can see that Swedish Chef now is kind of catching up in terms of economy and units lost and all that other stuff, but Shiny's just got so much gold in his bank. Does not look like he's going to be dying anytime soon. You can see him attempting to pick off these units. So I think that Swedish Chef's best bet here. He is staying alive, which is good, but he really needs to hit that mythic age. He's got 1,000 food, and he's got only 400 gold. He does have like 31 villagers on the gold, which makes me suspect, there you go, that's what it makes me suspect. He's only got the shaft mine and the hand axe. The biggest key of stuff that I see missing from a lot of players, it's around the 1700, 1800 level, is they don't buy economic upgrades. It's such an important thing. You can see he's got so many villagers but just no income because he doesn't have that extra boost of 20% that is missing from each of his resources. You can see no plow being researched either. If you jump back over to Shiny's perspective, he's got irrigation, he's got quarry, doesn't have the hand axe upgrade into bowsaw. You can forgive him, but it's kind of still not good enough. He's producing a lot of units with food, so he's not really able to do so, but he does have 2,000 gold, and he is running low on wood, so why not buy some food, invest in that bowsaw, get the wood income, and then have a huge amount of income from that sort of resource. That these siege towers under a lot of pain here. They kind of need to retreat out of here, and he's probably going to attempt to do that. No, he's still just going to sort of sacrifice them to the villagers. You need to get some chariot archers over here. If you can do that, then that means you can pick off those villages really well and get these siege towers dealing a little bit more damage. You can see that the market has been built for Shiny and the market has been built for Swedish Chef, so both players thinking about that late game trade route in order to not die between the time you finish mining gold and start trading. It's really important to start that up. with around about 5 minutes preemptiveness. We do see that fortified town centers also needs to get bought. It's really good. Get an extra 15 population at 3 town centers, sitting at 160 pop instead of 145. Actually huge. We do see that Swedish Chef has invested in that. However, if we jump over to his perspective, so click on it. Let me jump over to Swedish Chef. He's actually also sitting at the 160 population, so he's really utilizing it really nicely. But all of his units are dying too quickly because he's only got the well, I'd say only, but it's better than what Shiny's got at the moment. But I guess the sheer massive units and the aggression that Shiny's putting on is putting Swedish Chef into a rough position here. He also kind of needs to build out maybe hoplites instead of hypaspists to deal with these elephant. Hypaspists aren't the best units. Like they're good against infantry, but war elephants are kind of cavalry, and I guess they do okay. But if you build out hoplites, they're also a pseudo siege unit as well. So I mean, still a hypaspist, but they've only got the 6 damage, whereas hoplites have a fair bit more, so they can really pick off buildings at a more efficient rate. You can see that the Swedish Chef now coming in here, attempting to put a pain onto this corner. If he gets this corner, he gets the trade route from the corner to his location instead of Shiny. Shiny would have to get his trade set up over here, similar to what Swedish Chef's kind of got at the moment. So Shiny has to defend that. He's got a bunch of units over here, so he should be able to do so. And at that rate, he might actually he really needs to really needs to invest in. Oh, he does have 45 town centers. Okay, so he's no, that's not. Is that right? He does have 45 town centers. Got a new this new yeah, he does. Okay, so that's good. But the fortress now coming up with Horus upgrades for Shiny there, getting confused between the two players. Swedish Chef not yet thinking about the next age, though he's getting really close. And we do see that Ancestors getting cast here. Probably going to get that fortress up before Ceasefire. And there we go, Ceasefire going to get cast right now, preventing that Migdol stronghold from going up. You'll be able to get out some, probably some Petropoli or something from this fortress and go from there. Probably going to even chuck up a couple of buildings in this location. He's going to chuck up a sneaky little wall there. If you can get that one going, that'll be really huge for him, because that's Petropoli in here, and then that's siege going on. But all Shiny has to do is move one of his ancestors onto that location, and then it's going to be prevented. And we see another wall going up over here, so he's going to be preventing this siege, this trade route from happening. There is this route around here that he can abuse, however. Shiny in a bit of trouble here. Going to hit Horus though. Going to be able to probably going to be able to use his tornado to tear this location up if he really chooses to do so. But I'm not sure in that regard. He does have 60 favor, so he can research those spearman technologies and make them feel really powerful. Once you get those upgrades, they shred through the Hippocon. They do okay against medium hypaspis, but they're going to feel some pain against them. And yeah, pretty much yeah. But he could use Tornado on this location here, suck up all of those Greek units there, be completely worth it. It's actually really strong. We'll see what he just chooses to do. He's got these siege towers here, which are going to be focus firing the fortress. Got a bunch of villages, however, on this location. And I'm not exactly sure what we can expect at the moment. We see Spearman still auto-queuing. We do see if we jump back over here, Shiny has researched that bow that I was imploring him to research a little bit earlier. And that fortress, feeling the pain, probably not going to die, unfortunately. Needs one more hit. Is he going to manage to get it? And he doesn't manage to get it, but another siege tower out already. Going to be able to take that one down if he's proactive about it. And yes, he is going to get that fortress down, so the pain not going to be all too bad. Stray Avenger here, that's his free Avenger he's just sent over here. It's going to actually pick off quite a few units unintentionally there, which is good. You see the Spearman now attempting to pick off the Stone Gate. If you upgrade your walls, they become so strong. It's ridiculous. I think that walls need a heavy nerf. And you see another marker going up for Shiny here, sort of accepting the fate going on in this location. You see that the greatest of 50 has been upgraded there. Shiny using his Tornado, having enough of this location up here. We do see Swedish Chef hitting the Heroic Age through Heavy Estus. He's got plenty of volts to cast. He does choose to cast that at the back of his base, secure location, so that Shiny can not sneakily grab that one. And now is the time when you got to be a little bit scared as a Set player. You've hit the Mythic Age, you haven't managed to win the game, your opponent isn't far behind you, he isn't actually behind at all. Shiny's kind of lost his advantage here, and Swedish Chef is on a roll. He's going to be able to get all of his armory upgrades from his armory. If we can jump back onto his perspective, you'll probably see it getting researched. Where is it? There it is. So you see Forge of Olympus getting research. He's got 3 armories at the moment. That's going to get his iron upgrades up in no time flat. Makes them cost next to nothing, even though he's got next to no resources. He actually doesn't have much gold at the moment, so he needs to get that trade route happening a little bit stronger than it is. So Shiny actually has an opportunity here to cause some real pain. And if he does, then that's pretty much game if he can manage to stop this market from happening. And even grab a town center at the same time. But remember remember that Swedish Chef does have plenty of volts, so that's kind of like having maybe, I think it's 5 villages-ish on each resource. I'm not 100% sure what it is, but it's somewhere between 15 and 20 villages in total extra in terms of your economy from having plenty of volt. Really big. Really big difference in terms of resources gathered. If you see that the champion Hippocon has come out, we can probably jump over to the unit upgrade tab again. We see that that the champion spearmen have been upgraded, greatest 50 serpent spear, and probably the next upgrade going to be coming out in no time flat as well for Shiny. That's there's like 2 upgrades that you can get for the spearmen. I really like this style whereby you just like spam spearmen because it's really good. They're like the cheapest unit you can have, so it's like a strong late game unit combination, having like a bunch of really obnoxiously strong spearmen. It's like Spearer on the horizon. It improves spearmen attack and hit points, so they become just better overall units. They come around about as strong as a unupgraded hoplite, not like an unupgraded hoplite, but like not a champion hoplite, maybe like a medium hoplite or a heavy hoplite or something like that. Around about as strong as one of those. Probably see one somewhere on the map, maybe. Nope. Still producing Hippocon, I see. At this point, producing Hippocon is kind of pointless. I don't really understand the logic behind getting the champion Hippocon upgrade, because your opponent's obviously going through Horus, obviously getting ridiculous spearmen. You can see a bunch of villages getting picked off here for Shiny, but basically a bunch of units, a bunch of upgraded spearmen which have an incredibly large amount of bonus damage against cavalry from the greatest of 50 unit upgrade that Horus provides. So they really pick off units incredibly quickly. But if you start building Hoplite and Myrmidon, they lose that advantage. That upgrade becomes worthless, and we can see that the Myrmidon out here able to really just destroy Spearmen. Spearmen do pretty much no damage to them. Got 55% armor. Doesn't quite have all the upgrades yet. It does have nearly 4,000 wood though, so selling that wood and purchasing some upgrades would not be frowned upon in my opinion. Siege Workshop getting denied there by the Myrmidon of Swedish Chef. A little bit messy at this point in the game. Really, a lot of fights going on, and not a lot of buildings going up. At this point in the game, you really need to have your buildings just screwing up everywhere. If you ever watch a deathmatch game and want to learn about late game, just check out like Nakamura playing deathmatch. He's got buildings everywhere, and the priority stops being about saving units and starts being about like killing buildings. So the more buildings you can kill, the better off you are. We do see that that's sort of the thing going on now for Swedish Chef. Swedish Chef attempting to pick off this Siege Workshop with some of those Myrmidon spearmen coming in. And you can see those spearmen just like getting melted by Myrmidon at this point. I think that Swedish Chef needs to change its army composition to more of Shiny needs to change its army composition to more of an Axeman based army. That's going to allow him to pick off the Myrmidon. The little known fact is the only units which Myrmidon don't have a counter, like don't have a bonus to, are Throwing Axeman and Axeman. I'm pretty sure they have a bonus against everything else. Maybe not Cherry Ballister, I'm not sure about that one, but regardless, really strong units, and the counter to them is literally their counter unit. But we can see the Spearmen doing quite a strong job here, managing to delay Swedish Chef from coming in. The Spearmen have a bonus against Heliopoli. You see the army upgrades now coming out for Shiny. Shiny trying to re-catch up to what Swedish Chef's doing at the moment. He's already got his Iron Mail, his Mythic Iron Mail, and he's probably working on his bronze shields and bronze weapons as well. We can see the Spearmen being a little bit obnoxious here, attempting to pick off some of these donkey caravans. Need to produce another couple markets up here as well, just to make sure that he doesn't, if he loses this market, he doesn't lose gold stream. Build a couple of backup markets, always a good idea. They only cost 300 gold. Sorry, they only cost 300 wood. I mean, if you're Swedish Chef, you're really struggling for wood at the moment, but that's neither here nor there. I think that perhaps having these 30 villages on wood is a little bit much for Shiny, considering it's not really building any wood units. I would probably consider chucking them onto food and like maybe just kill them off, because you want to get some more camels caravans going on. You do see the Axemen coming out at the moment, medium Axemen. Even at the medium Axemen, they still do fairly well. Actually, no, they don't. They get completely destroyed. So you need to get those upgrades happening for these Axemen in order to deal with the medium Myrmidon of Swedish Chef. And we do see that some catapults coming in now, trying to pick off the town center there, but not having a real good time there. Gonna attempt to pick off this temple at the moment, chucking these chariot archers onto that villager. Gonna actually pick that off at the moment. Nice little pick off there, killing a villager. At this point, controlling your economy, not so that you have maximum villages, but so you have enough resources to produce an army and keep on producing that army, is the secret. We can see a bunch of these villages now moving around over here to continue to chop wood. Almost 5,000 wood, not a lot of food, and next to no gold. You need to really think about the economic distribution there. You can have 40 camel caravans, 30 villages, and only have 70 population worth of villages. It's still worthwhile. People say that only having 25 camel caravans is fine, but why do that when you could have so many more and have such a better economy and still be in the same population situation that you would be without any camel caravans and having a gold mine? But yeah, we do see that having lots of wood is kind of a good thing as well, to produce those chariots when you need to. They're really good at picking off Myrmidon and picking off the heavy Toxote, but at the same token, you need to pick off the Heliopoli as well. Otherwise it will wreck face. See this wall as well being a bit of a nuisance. So I've actually got a couple of idle axemen over here. You can see that the heavy Myrmidon coming in over here. And even with only 3 of them, they still tear down that mid-dome incredibly quickly. The Setmachine Shiny under a lot of pressure here. The Heliopoli focusing what looks like the barracks. It could be focusing the monument villages, monument soldiers, the houses. All of those would be better than the barracks at this position. You see a fortress now coming up at the front of Shiny's base. I don't believe you can stop that, and Shiny does decide to tap out. So that's GG right there. If we jump over to Swedish Chef's perspective again, let's see if he did grab that plow. It does have flood control. It took him like 25 minutes to build it. But really, I think that the most important thing to gather here in terms of the back and forth of this game happened. It was like a tug of war in terms of game control. Swedish Chef had complete control at the start of the game because Shiny's initial build was kind of subpar. His strategy was fine, even though it's a little bit unorthodox. Can't comment on that because it didn't lose in the game. In fact, he won like a huge fight there at the start of the game, really convincingly. So the strategy is by all means successful. Following that, what happened was Shiny put on a huge amount of pressure onto Swedish Chef, and Swedish Chef just plugged away until his economy got into a position where he could just keep on spamming units and Shiny could not push through anymore, so he lost his advantage there. Swedish Chef then got to his Mythic Age Dream, and I mean dream. Once you hit the Mythic Age of Zeus, it's like really, really, really good for you. However, that being said, Swedish Chef did not build Bellerophon. If he had built Bellerophon, the army of Shiny would have just been completely decimated right from the get-go, and the game would have been over 5 minutes earlier, I reckon. I think that's about right. In any case, if I was to replay this match, if Shiny was to listen to my advice, I would say that grabbing that third town center a little bit earlier would have been good. Would have made your attack a little bit stronger. And I think you need to think about pushing off gold and abusing your advantage instead of just trying to like sort of fart ass around trying to kill off buildings. Prevent him from gathering from this gold mine instead of the gold mine he's already secured with buildings would have been the correct decision, and then making a push in this way rather than anywhere else. Anyways, my name is BoIt. Thank you guys so much for watching. If you haven't already, please comment below. Please give me a thumbs up and subscribe, and I'll see you guys next time.